Good morning. Can you hear me? All right. Good morning, CLC. As Brian said, I'm here in an unfamiliar position. I asked if I could do the opening and read the inner healing experience. And they said, all right, but then you don't get to give the talk. And I said, well, fine. Then one of you can give the talk. And guess what's going to happen? And it's going to be wonderful. And more on that in a moment. But I welcome you here to our virtual Sunday service. So I wish you a happy November the 8th. This is a special day for me because this is my late mother's birthday. She would have been 93 today. So I invite you just to relax into this amazing day, this sweet fall day. It'd be nice to say it's a cool fall day, but it isn't. It's kind of a sticky, humid Southeast Texas fall day. But you know what? The changing leaves, they don't mind. And they are changing. Lisa went out and took some pictures. You'll see these soon. Beautiful red and gold and orange leaves. And you know, to humans, autumn is a time of gathering in. To nature, autumn is a time of spreading out. Distributing, dropping the leaves and the nuts and the pine cones liberally across the landscape. And it is said that Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, when he was teaching a class one time by an open window, he was talking about spirit, the divine, being all there is. And he said, you are the divine, to the students in the class. And he said, I am divine. I am an experience that it's having. And then he looked out the window and he saw a squirrel run up a tree. And he said, that squirrel is divine. He said, that squirrel is God. That squirrel is God. And then realizing what he'd said, he turned back to the class and said, you must think I'm foolish. I doubt they did. For there is one life, that life is spirit, that life is all the life there is. That life is inescapably and absolutely ours. And we've come here to this place virtually, a handful of us actually, this morning, to have an experience together of that life, that one that informs all things, that reminds us that we're all right. And people are longing for someone to tell them they're all right. But even better is to just know it within the depth of your own soul, that you are holy, that you are beautiful, that you matter. And then to realize you can be and do your heart's desires. You can transform the quality of your life. You can bring forward great beauty and wonder. It's all within your grasp because of who you are and what you are and the life that flows through you. So in this hour together, something powerful and transformative is occurring in and to and through each one of us. Assisted along, we usually say at this point, by hugs and smiles. Today we'll say assisted along by emojis, hand claps, strings of hearts, beautiful music, an inspiring talk, a sweet closing treatment, and a release out into life for the week to come and all the magic that it contains. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, I invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power, and symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand, letting my words act as your own for your own inner acceptance and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems, while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I become ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words, I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, now I say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only constructive, positive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. Realizing, no, I just did that one. I now center upon that one special idea that I am willing to accept as real for me in this coming week, visualizing this idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words, I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me who's touched my life in powerful, wonderful ways. This could be a friend, a family member, a teacher of mine. It's someone who fills my mind and heart today, though perhaps years away, miles away, and I turn to that image that I see in my mind's eye and I say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. And now I open my eyes and I turn joyfully to the people around me in my household, around the table, around the house, and I say to them, I'm grateful for the good in your life. I'm here this morning for my own soul. I'm here this morning to hear beautiful music and an amazing speaker who I'm about to introduce to you now. You know her well, but you've seen her open our services. Closed a few, but I think opens most of them for the last almost 8 months now. She spends the rest of the morning behind the laptop responding to your comments. That's not why she's speaking today. She's also a licensed practitioner. That's not why she's speaking today. She's president of our board of trustees and head of our mobile food effort, and that's not why she's speaking today. She's speaking today because she has a message for you that you absolutely ought to hear that will open your heart big and wide, touch your life, change your life if you let it. Would you please welcome Dainill Mercadel. We're making sure her microphone is on.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much. Thank you, CLC, for welcoming me here. I am very grateful to be speaking to you. When Jesse, you may or may not know, he's been teaching all week long. He has a class that's going on via Zoom, and with that, he has spent literally 2 to 3 days talking. So he needs to rest his vocal cords a little bit, come back fresh next week, that kind of thing. So I'm just here to kind of take up space a little bit, hopefully to inspire you, hopefully to help you to remember who you are, which brings us to our title, Who Are You? with that, this 2020 year has been challenging, to say the least, to most of us. You know, there are some people who they have been able to kind of skate through the year and, you know, ride it out and be just fine. It's funny, I think of them living in the eye of the hurricane. If you've ever been inside the eye of an actual hurricane, it's very quiet and peaceful. You know, the sun is shining. As a matter of fact, you may not even know a hurricane is going on if you could just stay in that eye. But around you is turmoil, chaos. Things have been going on in people's lives this year. And I mean, I won't go there because we all know. We all know, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's financial. You know, this year's been tough for quite a few people. And it's funny, last week, Jesse stood right here where I am, and his main message was, don't be judgmental. And here I come, all in judgment. So today we're going to talk about judgment. Not only judgment, but you judging yourself. I'm going to present you with a few challenges today. Hopefully you accept them and run with them. The goal of this is not necessarily to make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. The goal of this is to stir some things up inside you, to make you take a long, hard look at yourself, to ask the questions, who are you? How are you coming into this world? And what are you doing? One of the things I tell my boys all the time is, when any given situation, are you making that situation better or are you making that situation worse? You know, just as a matter of fact, just yesterday, I didn't know where we were going to be when I came here today. I didn't know what we as a country was going to look like, who our leader was going to be. Now, with that being said, knowing that we just found out the results for our election, half of our country is elated and the other half is devastated. Both of those things are true at the same time. And it is our job, being in this teaching, knowing what we know, doing what we do, to work on healing that, to work on uniting us again, to work on us being better than we used to be. That's a tough task, but I really, truly hope you're up for the challenge, because if you are, we have the possibility of turning this post-traumatic, stressful moment into post-traumatic growth. We have the moment, now that the seed has been opened and cracked, to come out of it and evolve into something better, something new, vibrant. Just like the azaleas that Lisa was taking pictures of earlier. We have that possibility right now, but only if we accept it. Remember, we say all the time, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We start off our treatment with there is one life. One life doesn't mean, oh, there's one life except for those people over there that I don't agree with. That's not what one life means. One life is not, we have one life except for all the people that say the things that I don't like them to say or do the things that I don't like them to do. They're included in our one. We need to start acting like it. We need to remember that. As hard as it is, and it is hard. Nobody's saying this is easy. Nobody said this teaching was easy. To live in this truth is one of the most challenging things you can ever do in your entire life. But if you take up that mantle, then you need to take it up fully and completely. So I go back to the question of, who are you? One of the things that Jesus said, and just so everyone knows, my referrals to the Bible today are going to be from the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5 through 7. Jesus gave us a lot of great information. There's not a lot of speeches that we have or information that we have that we can say, because we don't know for sure, but that are attributed directly to Jesus. But with that, the information that we do have is so valuable. So I definitely encourage everyone to go take a long, hard look at it. One of the things that is said there, though, and this is Matthew 5:13 through 16, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and give it light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. You are salt. Have you ever had a good meal? If it was a good meal, that means it was seasoned well. Because you can't have a good meal without the seasoning that goes in it. We season this planet. That's what we do with our thoughts, with our experiences, with how we express ourselves, with the things that we do, our actions and our words. We season the planet. How are you seasoning the planet right now? Are you doing that with a nice sprinkle of salt? Maybe even a little sugar? Or are you just pouring vinegar all over the place? So, yeah, that's what we need to look at. That's what we need to really focus on. And how you start doing that is listening to your inner voice. That's that still, small, emotional voice that's inside of you. We all have it. As a matter of fact, it's funny. One of the most challenging things for someone who starts a mindfulness practice or meditation is quieting that voice. Because we're so used to the chatter that goes on in our heads day in and day out, each and every day. A lot of times we don't even pay attention to it. What I'm asking you to do is pay attention to that voice. Pay attention to what you are talking to yourself about each and every day. Is it negative? Is it positive? Is it hopeful or is it destructive? Those thoughts matter just as much as your actions and words do. How do you see your fellow man when you come across him? How do you see yourself? That's a big one. That's a big one. We are, like I said before, spiritual beings having a human experience. And with that human experience, we have faults. We make mistakes. We don't always get it right. As perfect as we are, we don't always get it right. And both of those things are true at the same time. That's the paradoxalness of this whole world. Both things can be true at the same time. You can be perfect, you can be whole, you can be healthy, you can be vibrant, and you also can be sad and lonely and destructive and angry and frustrated and dealing with illness at the same time. We have our spiritual, we have our physical. They're both true. And they work together if you can align and balance in them. Now, how do you do that? How do you balance? How do you get that alignment going? Well, the simplest way is back to basics. Listening to that small voice inside of you. What is that voice saying? More importantly, how are you feeling? We say it all the time. Thought plus feeling equals belief. How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? How do you make yourself feel better? If you're feeling good, great. You can still be better. How do you do that? What do you do? Number one, you should definitely have a healthy outlet for your frustration. That can be as simple as a good cry, or that could be a workout, that could be a meditation or a prayer. One of the things that I love about the Sermon on the Mount, is that Jesus recognizes our fallacy as humans. And so with that, even though he is saying in here that you need to look out for others, you need to make sure you take care of others, you need to make sure how you present yourself in the world, he also talks about those not so good times. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because they're the seekers. When your spirit is poor, when you're down, you are seeking something better. You are seeking something more. You're seeking God. That's what you're doing in those moments. That's why you receive the kingdom of heaven, because you're asking. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Yes, we've all experienced loss, and it is extremely painful, but you can find comfort. It's there for you. Again, all you have to do is ask. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. And I want to go to that word meek, because a lot of times when people hear meek, they think weak. That M and W are not the same. Meek means you come into this world at a higher level. Patience, quiet energy that can expound and expand across everything. You don't have to use a lot of words. You don't have to shout for your presence to be known. You think before you talk. You think before you react. And this not only goes in your life surrounding with your family and friends, this is on Facebook. This is on Twitter. Think before you share. Think before you retweet. What are you putting out into the world? Are you making this world a better place or a worse place by the information that you are choosing to expound to people that you supposedly love and care about? What are you doing? Who are you? Rediscover your joy in life. You know, a lot of us were put on pause this year. All of our favorite places were closed. You know, we couldn't really go out with family and friends the way we want. But with that, we've also been introduced, a lot of people, many for the first time, to technology, where you still can have those interactions. Look at us right now. No, it's not the same as when everyone is in the room and we share hugs, but at the same time, we're here with each other. We're here for each other. Between Zoom, FaceTime, this, that, and the other, this time is the most precious time because we do have these type of connections. Think about if this would have happened in the 1800s where you didn't even have a telephone. We can still bring that together. We can still have that. You can find things in your life to positively uplift you. You can do things, whether it is through Zoom, whether it is coloring a picture, reading a good book, binge watching some of your favorite movies, doing things for yourself to revitalize and to uplift you. These are the things that we need to be focusing on, again, for that small inner voice inside of us, to lift that up and out, to make sure that what we are providing for ourselves is healthy and nourishing. You have to do it for yourself first. You can't do it for others if you have not done it for yourself. So as great as it is to go out and help others and do things for them, you have to make sure you're in a good place. And maybe those things don't do it for you. Maybe it's a situation where you do need to reach out. And that's okay too. We have ministers. We have practitioners. There are therapists. There are people out there, family, friends, people to help you help yourself so that you can be in the best possible place. Also, be yourself without shame. You come into this world uniquely you. There's nobody else like you. You know, I think about a taste bud. One single little taste bud on your tongue that's tucked away in some corner somewhere. That taste bud has an experience every single time you put something in your mouth. Whether it's salty, whether it's sweet, whatever's going on. And then there are other taste buds on the other side of your tongue that are having a completely different, phenomenal experience. But guess what? You as a person, in order to have that full flavor, to order to have that full blast in your mouth of everything, you need each and every one of those taste buds because they taste differently. But it's the full encompassing of them all, that full picture that makes it worth eating. That's the same thing that we are. We're little taste buds. We're exploring this world in our own way, through our own perception, and with that tasting and perceiving and living and loving and laughing all over the place. And that one experience expounds all the rest of universe. That makes up the beauty of this planet that we share. That's how Source experiences life. Through me, through you, through all of us. That's how we get there. Don't you want it to be the best one? Don't you want to be happy in it? Choose happiness. You can do that. That is very possible. Jesus says that we're not supposed to worry. I know that's much easier said than done. But, therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. If not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or stow away in barns. And yet your heavenly Father feeds them all. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? By worrying about something, do you solve anything? Do you change anything? You change things through actions. If you don't take the steps, all the worrying and all the frustration that you have going on upstairs does nothing for you. You have to be willing and ready to change your steps, to change your actions. The worrying part, let it go. Be in the now. This moment of your life. Take it all in. Relish it. You worrying about what happened in the past, what's coming up in the future, none of that is going to change everything. This is your moment. Right here, right now. Live it. Understand it. Relish it. You know, I know at least for me, and maybe for many of you as well, sometimes it's hard to admit that you're not okay. There are people in this teaching that believe that you need to ignore the crisis because you're giving it energy. And I get that. I don't personally agree with that. And the reason why I don't is because if you ignore a crisis, if you ignore trauma, later on, it's going to come back pulling at your coattails. Hey, I'm still here. You didn't pay attention to me. Hey, I'm right here. What you doing? Oh, you thought you were happy, but hey, look, I'm still back here waiting for you to pay attention. Jesse said so many times, you have to sit it down. You have to look at it. You have to see, where is this coming from inside of me? And once you see where this is coming from and really deal with it on that level, that emotional level, you can allow those emotions to freely lift and release from you. That's how we get over trauma. That's how we get over crisis. That's the how. Look at it. Pay attention to it. Ask it questions. See what it says. Once it does, allow it to freely release. And then find your happy place, wherever that may be. Now, that's all great and good in dealing with ourselves. Once we find that peace and comfort in us, we can move better through this world. But now, how do you move through the world? What do you do? How do you go about helping this world heal? Helping this evolution, this growth occur? Because again, we're the ones in this teaching. We know this. We know that we are one. So because of that, we do have a responsibility. Now, how do we do that? First, recognizing your thoughts, your feelings, your stance on issues, your concerns. They live on the same spectrum as everyone else's. You might experience them in different ways. Again, you have different thoughts and ideas of how things can be better. But at the same time, other people's thoughts and ideas can live on that spectrum too. There's room for all of our thoughts and feelings. One great thing about Creative Life is we accept everybody for who they are and how they are. When you walk through those doors, nobody tells you, okay, now you need to believe this. Now you need to stop doing that and you need to start doing this because this is our way and this is the way to do it. No one tells you that. Nobody makes you leave your previous religion, whatever the case may be, at the door. You bring who you are and how you are fully and completely to the table. And as such, I'm not saying you need to start agreeing with people you don't agree with. Nobody says that you have to like everybody all the time. But it is essential to love everybody all the time. And love is a choice. Love doesn't just happen. You have to choose love. If you choose love, then love comes back to you. If you choose to seek, you will find. This is the way that we know that our Creator created us for something magnanimous, something better, something more, because we co-create with it through our choices. Jesus said, "You have heard that it is said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of the Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteousness and the unrighteousness. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that?" And we know tax collectors are woo. "And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." So again, love your enemies, love your neighbors, love your friends, love your co-workers. Love the people you don't like so much. Choose love. And the reason why you're choosing love, the reward that's talked about up in here, that's your own personal peace. That's your tranquility. That's your heaven. You want to feel good about yourself? Love somebody who you don't think necessarily deserves it. When you tell somebody you're going to pray for them, Pray for them with sincerity. Pray for them from a place of love. Fight the good fight, the holy fight, the love fight. Make sure what you're putting out into the world is worth putting out. You know, we have gotten into this cycle where we love to criticize other people. We love to comment on people's comments, tell people about themselves, let them have it from A to Z and all the way back up again. We just love that. It gives us this euphoric high of saying, I'm right and you're wrong. And that's okay. It is okay to disagree, but disagree with decency. You take the high road. Why are you taking the high road? Because you know better. When you know better, you do better. So because of that, you are responsible for taking the higher ground. You are responsible for being decent. You are responsible for loving. The other thing, too, on that same spectrum, that honestly I would say is even more so than anger and frustration with others, is apathy. The lack of interest, the lack of care or concern. When you can see things like people being slaughtered and it means nothing to you anymore because they're not in your tribe, that's an issue. Why is that the case? Are we getting numb just because of what we're watching every day and what we're putting into our hearts and souls and minds? Are we forgetting who we are as human beings? We see numbers as far as this many people died, this many people are sick, this many people are that. And we forget behind each and every one of those numbers is a life. A life that has other lives wrapped around it. People who are going to love them and miss them and want them in their lives. Each one of those numbers. Don't allow the influx of information to shut you down emotionally. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to remember the spiritual portion of each and every human being that is on this planet. You know, Jesse just finished mentioning about how we are going to go on the 21st and help volunteer feed people in an undernourished neighborhood. We're doing that to help them, to be there for them, but we're also doing that for us. We're doing that to feel good, to know that you've given something. You've done something beyond yourself. And when you feel good about yourself and you do something, that causes a ripple effect where it goes out into the world. Not only are you more inclined to do something else again, but they're inclined to do something for someone else that they can. They're inclined to pay it forward. Let that spread out. Let that be contagious. Let that move throughout this planet, helping others, doing for others. The other thing is allowing yourself to be open enough to let others help you. I recently read about this, I guess it's a psychological deal or whatever. It's called the Benjamin Franklin effect. As the story goes, when Benjamin Franklin was in the legislature, however many years ago, whatever, there was a coworker who did not like him. This person didn't know him or talk to him or anything, but he did not like him at all whatsoever. And with that, he would talk bad about him. Anything that he would bring up, this coworker would dismiss. You know, him and his friends would be off in a corner shoo-shooing about, oh, Lord, look at that Ben Franklin. You know, he thinks he's all that, blah, blah, blah. All of this going on, right? So one of Ben Franklin's buddies came to him. He's like, you know, so-and-so's been kind of after you. He thinks that you're not such a great guy and you're all that and whatever. What Ben Franklin did, he went directly to the guy and asked to borrow a book. A book that he knew that this guy had that was very rare. And when he returned the book about a week or two later, he had a note in there thanking him for borrowing it, saying how helpful it was for him to have it. And with that, that opened up an avenue for dialogue and communication with them. And they ended up actually becoming really good friends. I challenge you to do the same thing with some of the people in your life that you love and you care about that you become disconnected from because they don't agree with you, because they didn't like you or comment on something you put in, or worse yet, because they commented in a way that you did not want them to. So you canceled them. We're in a cancel culture now. You unfriended them. You don't talk to them anymore, even though this is a person you may have grown up with. You may love and care about dearly. You may have had fantastic times with. I challenge you right now, well, not right now this second, but in this moment in time right now, I challenge you to reach out to them again. Talk to them. Let them help you with something. Something small, something non-consequential, but something that opens up that connection once again. Because there are people who love and care about you. There are people that you love and care about that you've lost contact with due to a disagreement. We're better than that. We know better than that. We are one. I invite you to do something about that. I would like everyone right now just to take a few minutes, 30 seconds as a matter of fact, and I'm going to do the timer, so you don't even have to time it at all whatsoever. What I ask you to do, if you're so inclined, close your eyes, but picture in your mind's eye a moment and a time in your life when you were at your absolute worst, or you hurt someone, or you did something that you were ashamed of. And I want you to see yourself through the eyes of someone you loved dearly in that moment. Take 30 seconds and just picture that. Remember that feeling. Remember what you were thinking at the time. Okay. Now in the next 30 seconds, we're doing the opposite. So I want you to picture yourself through the eyes of someone who loved you when you were at your absolute best. This could be a child, a partner of yours, your parents, in one of the highest moments of your life. I want you to picture the eyes of someone who loved you dearly and how they looked at you and how that made you feel. 30 seconds. Let it lift you. Remember the smile. Remember the love. Now, in those two very drastic, very different moments, You're the same person you are right now. Both of those moments were very true and real from you. And both of those moments caused some type of growth or evolution in your life. Whether it was from the shame and the frustration and sadness of not being your best, or the pride and love and gratitude for being your absolute best. Both of those are you. And they all fit, just like each and every opinion, each and every thought, even the ones we adamantly disagree with, fit in this world. Because if it didn't, it wouldn't be here. But you have the authority, the ability, and the knowledge of knowing how to create what you want in this world. What more do we need? How do we get there? It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with each and every person in this room. So I ask you again, who are you? Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who has asked receives, and one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. With that, I invite everyone to just take a moment and ask yourself, who are you? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in this world, on this planet? And when asking yourself that question, remind yourself that there is one life, one love, one source of all creation that exists in each and every person that is hearing the sound of my voice, and each and every person that hears the sound of their voice, and their voice, and their voice. Let the sound of our voices be wrapped in love. Let the sound of our words be heard in love. Knowing that this is already done, knowing that we are presenting ourselves in the highest and greatest possible way that we can for the good of all. I am so deeply grateful. And I release these words into universal source, knowing it is done. And so it is.
Okay. So I'm going to take care of one piece of business that, because we let Jesse open today. And he neglected to do the divine love. So I'm going to do that really quick, just in case you missed it. Just a quick reminder, because I am going to do this now. Danielle's got the PayPal link in the comments. So as little or as much, it's all good. It's all good. So divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have. All the good I give and receive, I am prosperous now, and so it is. Just wanted to rib Jesse a little bit about that. We didn't let him. We asked him, do you want to do the open or do you want to do the close? And he wanted to do the open because he likes to introduce people. He does it with great joy. And so before I send you out into the world, I'm going to remind you that Veterans Day is coming. I believe it's Wednesday. And I'm looking at the veteran who is currently standing behind the camera. So we want to say thank you for your service, for all of the branches, all 5 of them, and for everything that you do. And know that we definitely have a special place in our hearts for our veterans. We know that we have a whole bunch of them in our center, and so we want to send out a special thank you. And in that knowing, it is fall. I did go take a bunch of pictures of the trees. I will get them up shortly so that you can see what our trees are doing, because our trees right now are about to teach us one of the best lessons ever. Because we're coming into fall. Why is it called fall? Because the leaves fall from the trees? I'm sure it's way more than that, but I like it. But before they fall from the trees, they have a riotous party. Have you seen the colors? So when you are going to let something go, whether it is something that has served you well or something that hasn't served you well, it's a cause for celebration. Celebrate it with all of the riotous colors and the wild sounds, and then let it go. Let it go back into the nothing that it was, so that it may manifest again in another form. And in the knowing of that, I know that there is one life, one power, one source, one love, one presence. And I am knowing that I am a part of this presence, that this presence lives through me, in me, as me. And I know this about you. I know that this presence, this power, this love is you. And all of the amazing things that happen in this world happen through you. And so, ask yourself the question, who are you? And then hear the resounding answer that you are a beloved child of Spirit. And so I am knowing for those who do not know who they are, I am holding that space now, that you are a beloved child of Spirit in the grace. There is nothing that you need to do to be that. That you are a child of love. You are a child of hope. You are a child of happiness. And you are a child of healing. And to those out there who need healing, healing is on the way. To those out there who need comfort, comfort is on the way. And to those out there who are seeking that which is seeking them, is on its way now, running through the streets, calling their name, whatever it is. And to our veterans now, I am knowing gratitude. I am grateful for the choice that you made, for the service that you gave, and for the life that you live now. May you live it in peace. May you live it in comfort. May you live it in joy. And may you know that we, the American people, are grateful for you. And I'm grateful for this place. I am grateful for these people. I am grateful for these musicians. I am grateful for our senior minister who has amazing taste in music. And I am grateful for Dainill and the amazing talk that she gave. And I'm grateful for you for watching. And I'm grateful for you for sharing this sacred time with us. And now I release, knowing that it is done. Knowing that the love, the joy, the healing, the happiness is growing. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my head.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love
And
it.
so it is.
So it is.